we are diving into a really powerful collection of psalms from a man named Asaph. And these are so much more than just ancient songs. They're basically a diary of a major crisis of faith, taking us all the way from the deepest, darkest doubt to a place of just solid, unshakable trust.
So, let me just ask you, have you ever had that feeling? You're looking around at your life, you feel like you're playing by all the rules, trying to do the right thing, but it just seems like you're the one who's struggling, while other people who don't seem to care at all, are just thriving. It's such a human feeling, and it's right at the heart of what we're talking about today. And we're going to get into this feeling through the eyes of Asaph. Now, this guy wasn't just anybody. He was from the tribe of Levi, and he was one of the three main musicians in the temple choir back in King David's day. I mean, this is a man at the absolute center of worship who found himself right on the edge of losing his faith completely.
Okay, so this brings us to our first section, a righteous man's dilemma. This is where Asaph just lays it all out, the huge problem that nearly made him stumble and lose his footing for good.
This lays out his internal battle so clearly. On one hand, he's looking at the wicked, and what does he see? They seem comfortable, they're getting rich, they don't seem to have any pain, their arrogant words, their tongues roam the earth, are spreading everywhere. And then he looks at himself, plagued all day long, feeling like trying to live a clean life is totally pointless. He is so close to just giving up.
And here it is, his raw, unfiltered question. You can just feel the frustration here, can't you? Has my living a clean and sinless life been in vain? He's asking the question that, let's be honest, a lot of us have probably whispered when things get really tough. Why even bother if this is the result?
But what starts as his own personal doubt then gets way bigger. It expands into a collective cry of despair, a cry from a whole nation that's been plunged into darkness. So to really get this, we need a little bit of history. Now, Asaph himself lived during David's time, but some of these psalms, like Psalm 74, were probably written by his descendants. And they reflect on one of the worst events in their entire history, the year 586 BC. That's when the Babylonian army just destroyed everything, burning Jerusalem and the Holy Temple right to the ground. And in the middle of all that devastation, the people felt completely and utterly abandoned. I mean, this line, it's just gut-wrenching. There are no more signs and no more prophets. The spiritual leaders who could give them some kind of guidance, prophets like Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, they'd all been exiled. It must have felt like God himself had just gone silent.
But it's right here, at this absolute rock-bottom moment, that we find the turning point of the whole story. So let's look at this pivot to remembrance, because this is where everything starts to change. Now, here's the key. The shift doesn't happen because Asaph gets some new answer from the sky or because his situation suddenly gets better. Nope. It happens when he goes into the sanctuary of God, or maybe even just the sanctuary of his own mind, and he makes a conscious decision to remember, to just look back. And what does he remember? He remembers God's power over absolute chaos. He thinks about God crushing the heads of Leviathan. Now, Leviathan wasn't just some random sea monster. In this context, it's a powerful symbol for a massive earthly empire, something like Pharaoh's Egypt, a force that seemed totally unstoppable. He starts remembering the headline stories, right? How God parted the Red Sea, how he guided his people through the wilderness with a cloud and with fire, how he provided this miraculous food, the food of angels, and even brought water gushing out of a rock. He's literally reframing his current crisis by looking back at a history of impossible rescues. This act of remembering leads him straight to a brand new confidence, a certainty of judgment, and his whole perspective on the wicked starts to radically shift. To get this next part, you have to know what horns are all about in these psalms. Think of an animal's horns. They're a symbol of its power, its strength. So when the wicked lift up their horns, it means they're proudly showing off their power and authority. And here is the big aha moment. Asaph gets it. The power of the wicked, it's temporary. God is the one true judge, and he will personally break the proud horns of the wicked. Their time is running out. It's not that justice is missing, it's just on God's timetable. He builds on this confidence by thinking about God's specific choices throughout history. Asaph remembers how God rejected the rebellious northern tribes, like Ephraim, but instead chose the tribe of Judah, how he chose Mount Zion to be his home, and how he chose David, a simple shepherd, to lead his people. This pattern shows him that God is always at work, always making deliberate choices for his plan. And all of this whole journey, leads Asaph to his final settled conviction. This section is all about finding what the ultimate good really is, and it's not what you'd think. So this is where he lands. He sees the fate of the wicked. They just disappear in terror. But way more importantly, he realizes his own security has nothing to do with his health or his bank account. He figures, even if my body and my heart completely fail me, God is still my solid rock. He's my permanent foundation. And this is it. This is the breathtaking end of his whole journey. After all the jealousy, the doubt, the despair, he comes to this one simple, incredibly profound truth. The greatest thing, the ultimate good in life, isn't being wealthy or comfortable or having it easy. It's simply being near God. So that kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Asaph found his anchor by remembering God's faithfulness in the past, and then refocusing on his presence as the only thing that truly matters. In a world that often feels chaotic and totally unjust, what is the solid rock, the unshakable truth that you hold on to?